All right, so Ebba, thanks for coming here. And you were at the seminar now, Biodynamic Body Psychotherapy, right?
Biodynamic Body Psychotherapy here in the Integrative Therapy Center in
nice.
Vilnius.
And Ebba, my question is to you, as I'm not a professional, I want to ask in a very simple way. What is actually Biodynamic Body Psychotherapy? What are you doing in there? What's that about?
You know something? It's the simplest and it's the hardest question to answer.
I can imagine.
Because it is a combination of psychology, psychotherapy, and physiotherapy, dynamic physiotherapy.
I see.
Which William Reich actually put into, into a method in the late 30s in Norway, before he went to America. So he took the psychiatrist and the physiotherapist, and then he looked who were crazy. They came from, the physiotherapy sent the crazy one to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist sent the one who was not so crazy to the physiotherapy. And Reich came and put all those teachers and therapists together and made what was called character vegetal therapy. Character analytical vegetal therapy. And that means he started to look at what kind of neurosis was it the persons was exhibiting. Were they very frightened or tight up looking people? Were they big, strong, heroic and everything? Were the timid people or was it oral people? What kind of personalities was having emotional trouble or pathological or somatic problems?
Very interesting.
Yeah. So he would work like with somebody had asthma. So he would find out that person would have a dilemma between I need you, but get away. Mother, of course. So you can say that there's a lot of repressed dynamic in people that is not conscious. So they are suffering from somatic or emotional phobias or problematics in which they think helps with either sports or medicine or reacting out. And so that is like the basis of what Reich did. Okay? He looked at the body and then he found methods to free the breathing, and then you would somehow act it out. If you're angry, you would say, I am angry. Okay? You wouldn't say, well, I am a bit angry from time to time. He would say, put your jaw forward, make a noise. And Bøyesen, my mother, who was a psychologist and a child psychologist, she did the very famous dynamic physiotherapy school in Norway. So she was then the pupil and the colleague of Ola Raknes, so directly from Reich to Ola Raknes to Bøyesen.
Bøyesen, your mother, right?
Yes, my mother. By destiny, my mother. What she did is that she worked as a clinical psychologist in the Dikemark mental hospital in Norway for several years, where she was not allowed to touch, because only the ergotherapist was allowed to touch.
I see.
But she had already seen, and she worked primarily with schizophrenic or bipolar. And she saw that the bipolar patient, when they were going into a manic, everything swelled up their faces and neck.
The big hero?
No? Fluid, stuck fluid.
Oh.
So she had the concept of stuck energy draws fluid. Like if you hit your hand, it will swell up.
I see.
So she wanted to see if she could get that fluid to circulate. And to do that, she realized that many of her clients had a lot of stomach rumbling sounds when she was treating them. As Freud said in one of his quotes, when I hear the orchestra from the belly of my client, I know they feel good. So Bøyesen, and with his colleagues, knew about this, and they thought in the 1920 that they should record it. So they had a talk about it, and then they decided that the sounds that came from the gut, now what we call the second brain, was from the empathy that the therapist felt from their patient. So they let that idea go. But my mother took that up and bought an anesthetic stethoscope, which she placed on the belly, and then she started to hear all the different sounds, which now is called Borborgami. So you have Guy de Silva from Canada or from America.
Very interesting. I see. Well, one interesting thing I heard is about conscious, unconscious. So if we talk about psychotherapy as I know it, talking.
Yes.
People are conscious about their problems.
People are conscious about it.
How, is it different with body psychotherapy? If you say it's unconscious, then and it maybe closes the gap.
Well, the thing is that if you close your eyes, you can start to talk what the consciousness feels like. That means you're not cognitive about it. It's not talking about it. It is how your body feels when you access the conscious material, when you symbolize this, when you dream, when you start to ask, how do you feel within your body? How do you feel when you talk about that? People say, okay, talk about your feelings. Yes, well, I'm feeling tired, but if you say, let yourself breathe. Breathe into and feel what your body wants to say. It's a whole different level. So you can say that bioenergetic goes from the periphery to the center. And we go into the dynamic of the breathing, of the pre-conscious.
I see. Interesting. So that means this pre-conscious, this unconscious thing can emerge from your body and reveal some problems that you wouldn't be able to reveal in a classical psychotherapy.
Then you would say that was unconscious. So I call it subconscious, pre-conscious, conscious. So that means when you have a dream, you've forgotten it.
I see. Then I hear talking about biodynamic psychotherapy. I heard from you, from my wife, Rasa. Primary personality and secondary personality. This interesting concept for me. Am I primary personality now?
Well, people start to have like kind of a debate about it. The children we're all primary. We all have primary impulses. I feel they do it, but you have consequences. So the primary personality is the one that stayed with themselves and did not become, polished, too polite, too adapted to whatever the parents are expecting from them, our society. So without being rebellious. So the secondary is like saying, if you say, well, how you feel or what you want, I don't care, I don't know. Not I don't care, I don't know. Or would you rather do this or that? Well, no,
whatever suits you.
Whatever I'll let you choose. What the primary will say, well, right now, I'd like to do that. Yeah, but yesterday you wanted.
I want an ice cream right now, right?
Well, that's a primary impulse. You already have had two, so no, you can't have the third, no. It's like having boundaries, but this is some of the concepts that Goethe took from Reich. But what's important is that in Norway, that is when Reich found the organ, the concept of organ, like his way of saying
Organ.
biodynamic energy within the body, connected with the cosmic. So it's élan vital, it's prana, but that is like, one is the breath, so he studied that, and then he called that organ, which for him was anti-cancerous. That means when you breathe, when you pulsate, like spasm, you're like that, then you live. We live by contraction, expansion, and that is what
pulsation.
Pulsation.
That concept
like
of
the cell,
pulsation goes through all the therapies, more or less.
Like the cells.
Yeah.
And so he said we have cellular memory, and when that contracts, it makes illness, and when it has a good flow, then it's healthy. So we do touch treatment. It is like a massage, but we don't call it, because we have the stethoscope that are guiding us so that we can hear the stress formation.
I see. So the stethoscope is like a microphone on your belly, and there is a speaker, and you hear inside of your belly.
You hear,
to put it technically,
you hear all the different sounds, which tells us where we can touch, or how long, and what kind of touch.
So the sound is your diagnostic system?
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
And so it's also the antenna that we can feel. How do we have to touch? Do we have to do a light touch, a dynamic? Do we need to ask the person to breathe? Is it too watery? Is it too tight? Okay, because the intestines, it's a muscle. It's a smooth muscle holding the whole intestines, and nobody thought about it. So we can listen to the contraction and the expansion, which has to do with your feeling. When you're uptight,
so the happiness,
I would say you have a constipated mind, and maybe
constipated mind. Yeah. So the happiness is in the belly.
Yes, I like the Chinese, the East have been saying. So it sounds very simple, but it is how do you trigger that the subconscious are ready to work on its self-regulation, to regulate your whole nervous system, your hyper and hypotension in your whole body. So we are holistic all the time.
Sounds very interesting and impressive.
Very impressive. And the thing is that there is not one way. Each of you, of the people, will do what they are meant to do. Some might be stronger in certain massage types or in certain approaches. So it's very individualistic, but the framework and the essence is the same.
Is the same. Okay. It is very important to say that.
Very important to say that it is not taking away from classical family therapy methods, or from analysis and talking therapy and cognitive. It's all a part, okay? And one can do too much of, let's say, the dynamic with a person. If you open too much of the unconscious material, people might regress and work with, the birth when they shouldn't. Or so that is important to say that we are all colleagues. We are not trying to compete with
that is an important message. So
method.
It's not really a competitive method.
No,
it's
a complementary, very complementary.
All right, complementary.
Integrative, and we use quite a lot from family therapy and from bioenergetic, and we of course know many are from the Hakomi and the core.
I see.
Okay.
Integrative sounds really great.
Like the name of your center.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I would like really to thank you for coming here to Lithuania. See you soon.